try your best to ignore the monkey back there. My mother's birthday is coming up, and 5 days later, it's my sister's birthday. So the house is a little decked out right now. Also, ignore the special needs kitty if he starts to meow. He's apparently a shipper and decided last week he really wants to be part of these discussions. As much as I would love to go on and on about the whole Jerome thing for hours, I feel like a lot of you really need to have a Nigmable talk. I feel like the fandom has never been more divided than it is right now, and it's kind of sad because when I first entered the fandom, it was kind of a peaceful and happy place to be, and now there's people in the fandom fighting with each other over opinions, and one of those opinions is whether or not Gotham queerbaited us. Queerbaiting is a very real and very big issue. I actually just had this discussion with someone. The people in my house didn't know that queerbaiting was a thing. They're all straight, cis straight people. They don't understand it, and when I explained it to them, they were like, oh yeah, I can see how that's pretty problematic, and it is. But something that people are forgetting is there are two definitions of queerbaiting. One refers to a character, one refers to the relationship build-up itself. It's considered queerbaiting if you make a character or characters and they come off really LGBT in one way or another, and when they're interacting with another character, it seems very much like it's headed towards a relationship. And then they rip it away after getting all these queer followers and are like, no, just kidding. We just wanted the ratings from you, basically. When it's relationship queerbaiting, it doesn't really matter, in my opinion, if one of the characters is queer or even if both of them are queer, because you can still queerbait the relationship whether they are or not. You shouldn't build up a relationship. You shouldn't build up a possible relationship for a long period of time, basically almost promising a fandom that they will get together if you don't intend on going through with it. With that being said, I understand both sides of the issue. I understand why some people think that we were queerbaited, and I understand why people don't think we were. First, the people who think that we were. I think this is coming from the fact that a lot of people in the Gotham fandom, and especially in the Nigmablepot fandom, have mental illness and have suffered a lot in their life, just like the characters have suffered a lot in their lives. And it made them relatable. Obviously not to the extent where you guys are going to run off and stab somebody, but you get what I mean. When they're that relatable, you get very emotionally attached, because it's almost like watching a version of you, in a way. And it's very difficult when you're in that fragile a state to not get scared the second something goes really wrong. Understand, you guys, that anyone who's freaking out now thinks that Monday night's episode was basically Endgame and that all of this was built up pretty much for nothing, because there is a high chance we won't see Oswald again this season, or at least not until the season finale, because Gotham is dramatic, and they like to torture us. And in the moment, it may have looked very final for people. I know some of us may not understand that completely, like, well, there's like 8 episodes left, how can you think that's it? And obviously they want to have a season 4 and everything. Yes, but how you and I think isn't necessarily how everyone else thinks. It's kind of like this. Say my girlfriend and I both went through the exact same negative experience at exactly the same time in our lives. We still won't react in exactly the same way because we're two different people with two different mindsets. It's like that. So don't get angry with them if they don't understand that this may not have been Endgame for Nigmablepot. Just try to understand why they feel that way and talk them through it as best you can and as respectfully as you can. Now, unfortunately, I know there are some troublemakers there too. I know a lot of people were not fond of the fact that Corey was being very dismissive on Monday night and almost confrontational in a way, but you have to understand their phones explode from Twitter while they're watching the episode as well, and they try to interact as much as possible, which means they read as many tweets as possible. And already within minutes of the show finishing up, he had multiple accounts telling him that he was a queer baiter and that he's basically anti-LGBT and he's a homophobe. And yes, there were even some tweets and Instagram posts to Robin and Corey saying people wanted them to die. I did see some of those. They said, after what you did to us, I hope you die. When you get multiple accounts from people who were loving you last week suddenly saying that, you're automatically going to go on the defense and get angry. And that's exactly what happened. He got angry because people were attacking him left and right. He didn't even have a chance to respond. So you have to understand that. You also have to understand he can be wrong about what he said about Ed. He can be wrong about him not being queer. Remember what I've told you before from my perspective and being someone who's working on a web series and from meeting them before and hearing them talk about this. They film no more than 6 episodes ahead of us generally, because even the show and the producers don't want them to know exactly what's going to happen, because someone can accidentally get too excited and burp it all out at us. It's happened before with those guys, and it could happen again, so they're very careful. If 6 episodes ahead of where we are now, he still thinks that, okay, Ed is still just hung up on Isabella and Kristen, so it must mean he's straight, or he's still mad at Oswald. Of course he's going to say that. That's honestly what he believes, but he doesn't write the show. He didn't create the show. He doesn't know what endgame is for those characters, and it's in the sky whether or not the writers are even sure exactly how they'll end everyone's characters. So there's still potential, but he just may not know that yet. He only knows a little bit ahead of what we know. So just keep an open mind there. If what he's writing is pissing you off, just block his posts for a little while until, everyone has a chance to calm down. Now for the people who don't think that we were queer baited. This is because there are some people who think ahead a lot, like me. I'm a very analytical person. I think ahead many steps of where we are currently. I'm already thinking ahead to what could possibly happen in season 4, which is a long way away when you think about it. So I was sitting there with a few others like me thinking, well, yeah, that was rough and all, but this could actually work in our favor. Because now they're on even playing ground. They've both taken everything from the other, including in their minds kind of their lives, because Ed thought that he was going to have a certain kind of life, and he doesn't get that now. I think that the way that Ed reacted both to the docs when he was planning on shooting Oswald, and to Oswald confessing that he understood this, that the first step of loving someone else is to put them ahead of yourself, kind of showed us that there's a lot more going on than just revenge now. He looked very confused at first and then very hurt because he was hoping this would be easy. He was hoping that he could just be angry at Oswald forever because Oswald just wouldn't get it. He even told us that. And then when Oswald did understand that, you know what, I'm prepared to even die for you because I love you that much and I deserve it. Now it kind of threw a wrench in his whole plan, and he was like, wow, this is who I thought you were before. You did something bad. I thought you were someone else, but now I'm seeing my old Oswald back. Unfortunately, Oswald kind of chopped that right up on the docks because he went back to what I like to call season 1 Oswald and got a little bit manipulative. He started out on the right foot, but then he started talking to Ed about the fact that, hey, I'm the one who made you. And yes, while that is true, and I've mentioned it many times, maybe it wasn't the right thing to say to the guy. But he did learn that from Fish Mooney. Now for something not too many people are talking about, but I started thinking about it a couple days ago. I know a lot of people are upset whether it was queerbaiting or not because, once again, we have a queer character who just gets tortured and then shot after being rejected by someone. And yes, I, like anyone else, get a little tired of seeing only that and like no happy endings for queer characters, but I actually think this was a good thing in this case because Gotham tries to kind of throw in the viewers' faces everything that society deems wrong or bad and say, listen, this is more of a gray area than you seem to think, and here's why. I think this was one of those instances. I think what they were doing in their own way was saying, look, this is the danger of outing someone. Everything was fine until Barbara outed Penguin. That's when everything just went tits up. I think that the show did that on purpose. They were like, when you out someone to the wrong person without their permission, really bad shit can happen. Look at this. We went from just someone being a little weirded out by how he felt all the way to him getting tortured for it, to him getting shot for it. And this is stuff that does happen in real life when someone is outed when they shouldn't be, which is always, you never out someone else. Always ask permission first. I think that's why they did this, and I think it was a really good way to kind of shove in some people's faces why it's bad, because you don't think about it right away. You think about it after the fact. And there's some viewers like my family, for example, who maybe didn't know that outing someone is bad. They're like, oh, well, if they came out to me, it's okay. And now they understand how bad it can get because that was not far off of reality. So we can think about that part of it that way, and it makes it a little easier. Nigmabblepot Endgame. I don't think they'll get back together this season, but I think they'll get together sometime in season 4 because Ed's reaction told me he has some form of love for Oswald, whether it's romantic or not right now, we're not sure. But he obviously does love him a lot, and we already know Oswald loves Ed. I think that throughout the rest of season 3, he's going to keep trying to distance himself more and more from emotion, but various things are somehow going to bring him back to Oswald. And Ed's going to realize that Oswald is a can't live with him, can't live without him situation. Remember, there's always pairs of people who mirror each other in each episode. This time it was Jerome and Bruce, and Oswald and Ed. Jerome and Bruce began that whole dynamic of can't live with him, can't live without him with the Joker and Batman, where, okay, yeah, you're against each other to some extent, you're beating each other up all the time, but you also don't really want anything to happen to the other one because you'll just be lost without them. That's the same thing that happened with Riddler and Penguin. They're realizing that as hard as it is sometimes to be around each other because they're not great people, they can't really exist one without the other. Okay, to wrap up this video and make you a little happier, let's talk about Jerome. I am just... that was the weirdest thing ever. I mean, the mirror thing and the carnival, I was so happy. That is everything I love from, like, the Arkham games, and everything I've ever wanted to see in, like, a Batman movie is Joker with a creepy-ass carnival and the mirror hall. And I got all of it. I was so happy. It was like, is this my birthday or something? What's going on? And then, oh, the punching his face off. He was, like, kind of screwed up and kind of normal laying on the floor, and I was just like, ugh, this is good. I love it. And then, like, I'm sorry, highlight of the episode to me was Jerome getting his face punched clean off into the puddle and Gordon looking at him like, I am currently questioning every decision I've ever made in my life that has led me to this moment. What is happening? That guy's facial expressions just kill me sometimes. I really hope that this helped you not only feel better about the fate of Nigmabblepot, but also helped you open your mind and open your heart and understand why each side of this issue feels the way they do. Remember, compassion is key in this fandom and in life itself. You don't have to agree with the person, but you do have to respect them and treat them the way that you would want them to treat you. Well, I'm going to be making some fun vloggy things for a little while because we don't have anything till April, but I hope that you all feel a little better and have fun soon. Bye bye bye!